Okay, let's start some of the fun stuff with making a level. Placing items is always great, and it'll really define the flow of your map. So whenever you place an item like a rocket launcher, armor shards, large armor, strength spawn, things like that, it'll really determine where players will go and how they'll interact with certain areas of your map. So one of the most critical things you need to know about this is a lot of our entities aren't, even though you see, for example, if I go here into entity and I bring down items, you see stuff that looks like, hey, well, there's the next, right? Drag it and drop it, right? Like, there you go, right? That's not the actual next. This isn't what you want to use when you're placing an item down. So I'm going to show you what to do that, but first, let's go ahead and create a new layer. Again, always do this. And let's just call this pickups. Make sure the layer is selected. And where you do this, let's open view pane, and go to database view. Once you're in this window, the database view, whenever you're first looking at this, it might seem overwhelming at first. Here's something to note. Really, the real truth about this is you really going to ever use two tabs here, the entity library and particles. We won't cover particles right now too much, a little bit later. But then this entity library, this is where you actually want to choose most of the pickups and stuff like that. They all come from this little library spot. So click the load library button here, and then you're going to see this Nex_pickups. This is actually what holds all of our pickups in the game. So now you have a bunch listed, and you can branch them out whenever. It's really cool. So for example, if I branch out Nex armors and I select large armor pickup, you'll see it's like literally like an entity that's placed in the world, but it has predefined properties. Everything's here already. The sound that makes when it gets picked up, the particle that it plays, the amount of armor it gives, all that stuff. Like its respawn timer, the works. Like everything's already predefined here, and you can't edit this stuff. Keep that in mind. But it's all defined right here. So if I wanted to place large armor, for example, on top of these little towers, I'm going to just drag it from the database view like you would drag an entity from the entity list, place it down, control shift where I want it to be, use shift to measure wherever it is, and try to drag it to where it's center point. 10 on all sides, so it's now centered. And a lot of times you don't want an item just sitting there on the ground like that. Try to pop it up a little bit. I'm on a 1 grid unit snap. Maybe I'll drop this down to 0.5. Most of our items we try to keep 0.5 off the ground. Now that we have that there, we want to make sure the other tower has a large armor as well. Now you know, since I moved it up 0.5, I'm not getting the measurements of the solid underneath me, and that's because the center point needs to be matched inside it. So let's move it back down in there, and let's get it dead center, 10 and 10. Move it back up 0.5 units. Put a rocket launcher right here in the middle of the map. So I can do that by going into Nex_weapons. RL pickup, that's the rocket launcher. So let's drag it, control shift click it, and there you go. Now let's make sure this is dead center. So this bridge is 30 units, so I want it to be 15 and 15. Yeah. And let's try to get this aligned, 7 and 7. Let's move the rocket launcher up 0.5 units. Notice how I'm holding shift all the time whenever I'm doing stuff like this. Let's do a mutator pickup. That's there in the mutator. Mutator pickup right there. 0.5 up. Now whenever you're placing strength, there's two types of strength. There's the pickup, and then there's pickup floating. Pickup is if it's on the ground, pickup floating is if it's floating in the air. Let's be assholes and make the pickup floating in the air. Let's do it right above the rocket launcher. And that way we encourage people that get up on top of the towers to have to try to do something to really go out of the way to get this. Yeah, let's bring it up in the air. Let's do it at 11 units above. Okay, now let's drop some munitions ammo. That's rocket ammo. Shotgun ammo, even though this is there, this is here. Whenever we had shotguns, actually had ammo at one point. We took that out. So don't even place these shotgun ammos. They're not needed. Let's go ahead and place some rocket ammo. Move it into place. And you want to rotate it and make sure it looks like it's aligning the wall properly. Generally, we don't put ammos right in the middle of the game flow. We usually like to keep them just outside of reach, so you have to go out of your way to get them. Okay, now you have some basic entities in your game world.